From mansion parties to prison cells, from designer suits to orange jumpsuits, Sean Diddy Combs' dramatic fall from grace has captured America's attention. Once a mogul of the music industry, he now awaits trial on serious federal charges. What happened to the man who once threw lavish white parties and lived a life of luxury? Today, we explore his shocking new reality as he faces accusations including sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation for prostitution. In September 2023, federal agents raided Diddy's homes in both Los Angeles and Miami, marking the beginning of his legal downfall. By March 2024, he found himself in handcuffs, facing these grave charges. How did the superstar go from hosting grand events to being detained in a federal prison? Since his arrest, Diddy has been held at the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, in Brooklyn, New York, one of the toughest federal facilities in the country. MDC Brooklyn holds about 1,600 inmates, most awaiting trial, and has earned a reputation for harsh conditions. Inmates report inadequate medical care, poor infrastructure, and overcrowded cells. It's a far cry from the mansions Diddy once owned. In places like the Hamptons and Miami, the cells at MDC Brooklyn are cramped, measuring just 120 square feet, often shared by two people. They come with basic amenities: metal bunk beds, a toilet, a sink, and a small desk area. For someone who once lived in luxury, this environment is a shocking contrast. Diddy's daily life now follows a strict schedule. He wakes up at 6 a.m. with a head count and spends his days staring at cinder block walls. Meals are basic, typically consisting of cereal, bread, and coffee for breakfast, followed by a lunch at 11 a.m. and dinner at 5 p.m. Inmates have access to communal areas during designated hours, where they can exercise, make phone calls, or socialize, under heavy supervision. For someone like Diddy, known for his extravagant lifestyle, recreation now means limited gym access or perhaps watching TV for a few hours. Lights out is at 10 p.m., and unlike his former life of VIP, parties and exclusive events, there are no special privileges. Sources suggest that, while safety concerns might lead to some separation from the general population, Diddy's life inside the detention center is largely the same as any other inmates. Diddy's legal team has requested certain accommodations due to his high-profile status. However, federal facilities are notorious for not bending their rules, even for celebrities. Much of Diddy's time is spent meeting with his legal team, preparing for what could become one of the most high-profile federal trials in recent memory. Given the nature of the charges against him, his defense team has filed multiple motions to challenge the evidence the government has against him. These legal proceedings will be lengthy and complex, and it's clear that Diddy's fight for his freedom is far from over. Interestingly, Diddy is not the only famous face at MDC Brooklyn. The facility has housed notorious inmates like singer R. Kelly, former pharma executive Martin Shkreli, socialite Ghislaine Maxwell, and rapper Fetty Wap. Currently, suspected cartel leader Ismael El Mayo Zambada is being held there awaiting trial. Another high-profile detainee is Sam Bankman-Fried, the disgraced cryptocurrency billionaire convicted of fraud in the FTX scandal. According to reports, Bankman-Fried has interacted with Diddy during their time at MDC, describing him as a pretty kind person. As Diddy awaits trial, his fall from a global mogul to a federal detainee is a reminder that no one is immune from the justice system. The next chapters of his legal saga will be closely watched, with millions wondering if he will reclaim his fortune and freedom, or if his downfall will continue to unfold in front of the world.
He described Diddy as a pretty kind person.
Are you hanging with Diddy? I think he's in there with you.
He is. He's been kind. I've made some friends. It's a lot of, ex-gangsters or sort of alleged ex-gangsters.
Yes, definitely alleged. So what's Diddy like?
I've only seen one piece of him. Diddy in prison. He's been kind to people in the unit. He's been kind to me.
You're two of the most famous prisoners in the world in the same unit. What do the armed robbers think?
Some of them are, I think, are thinking like, wow, this is sort of a big opportunity, like to meet people they wouldn't otherwise get to meet, which is it shocked me the first time I heard that. Right, it makes sense from their perspective, but like, boys, not how I think about prison.
Although their crimes are vastly different, Diddy and Sam Bankman-Fried share a striking parallel. Both men once held incredible power, wealth, and fame, and now they find themselves confined inside one of the toughest federal detention centers in America. It's a surreal twist. Two former billionaires who once commanded global empires now occasionally crossing paths in the cold, controlled corridors of MDC Brooklyn. For most federal detainees, connection to the outside world is limited and tightly monitored. Inmates are typically allowed just 300 minutes of phone time per month. That's about 10 minutes a day. All calls are recorded and monitored, except those with legal counsel. For Diddy, a man who once reached millions with a single social media post, this sudden communication blackout may be the most jarring adjustment of all. Sources close to him say that isolation is hitting him the hardest. Once surrounded by celebrities, artists, and powerful business allies, he now lives in near total separation. Family visits must be approved in advance and happen in tightly controlled visitation rooms, often behind plexiglass. Even someone of Diddy's stature gets no special treatment. Only immediate family and lawyers are allowed through those security gates. Meanwhile, his legal team is fighting aggressively. They've challenged everything, from the legality of the federal raids on his properties to how the evidence has been interpreted. Still, the trial may be months, or even a year, away. Complex federal cases often stretch far beyond 12 months, meaning Diddy could spend a long time in pre-trial detention. Inside MDC Brooklyn, Diddy's current life is unrecognizable compared to what he once knew. The man famous for throwing all-white mansion parties in the Hamptons now wears a standard-issue prison uniform, eats institutional meals on plastic trays, and sleeps on a thin mattress in a cramped cell without pillows. Private chefs, palatial bedrooms, and high-end fashion have been replaced by rigid rules and bare walls. And in prison, celebrity status doesn't matter much. Respect is earned in different ways, and flaunting fame or fortune can actually make you a target. Diddy now has to carefully navigate a social hierarchy that values caution, humility, and strength over status and spotlight. Experts in prison psychology say the mental toll on people like Diddy, those who experience such a sudden and severe downfall, can be devastating. The transition from having total freedom and endless resources to a world of confinement and structure often leads to depression, anxiety, and even identity crises. For now, Diddy remains in limbo, stripped of the luxury, power, and influence that once defined him. He waits, surrounded by concrete walls and barbed wire, as the justice system moves forward. The man who once ruled red carpets and music charts is now just another inmate with a number and a case file. And perhaps the greatest twist of all, the one thing he no longer has, freedom, is the one thing money can't buy.